Hello, my name is Victor Lamont Wooten, and first of all, thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. I'm going to be demonstrating some techniques on the 4-string bass. I guess concentrating mostly on some thumb techniques and some two-hand tapping techniques. And I have my brothers and some friends playing music with me, and just come along for the ride, and I hope you enjoy it and hope you learn something. Hello, what we're going to talk about now is thumb technique, and as you know, I use my thumb a whole lot. And one of the techniques that I use, we'll call it double thumping. It's a technique that my oldest brother Reggie showed me when I was real young, maybe around 8 years old. So it's something I've been doing for quite a while, and all it is going down and up with your thumb, using it in the same way a guitar player would use a pick, in both directions. And it'll really allow you to do quite a bit more than what you're used to doing with your thumb if you're not used to double thumping. So if you think of a guitar player who used a pick, and if he only went one direction, let's say he only went down with his pick, he would only be able to go so fast, and his arm might get tired twice as fast. But if you can go both directions, you can get the same speed with half the motion. So that's what I try to utilize with this thumb technique. So if we think about a guitar player using a pick, it'll become an easy technique for us. It won't be a hard one. So basically all I'll do is if I'm going to strike the E string, my thumb goes through the E string and stops on the A string. I don't bounce. Okay, if I bounce away, that just eliminated my upstroke because I'm already up. So I go through the E string and stop on the A string. And that way, if I want to on the way up, I have that note. Okay, and what I'm doing is I'm using the corner of my thumbnail. Now, certain people can do it different ways, but the way I like to do it is use that little corner of the thumbnail on the way down, and on the way up, the string will come right down the center of the nail. Okay, so and the good thing about it is you can regulate the amount of snap you want on the upstroke. You can just lightly hit it, or on the upstroke you can really pull it. So actually you can pull the string up further than you can push the string down, because the fretboard will stop the string. So really you can actually get a better snap or a different type of snap on the way up than you can get on the way down. So to practice, just do some single strokes, quarter notes or anything, and practice it on all the strings, like. Get used to moving it around all the strings. One other thing I might add is I prefer to do it off of the fingerboard, back in here where I can get my thumb in there. Even though I don't get it in there too much, it's harder for me to do it on the fingerboard because my thumb doesn't get in there quite as much. But I know people that can do it on the fingerboard, so it can be done. So you just practice and figure out how you like to do it, and have fun with it. Okay, now let's talk about two-hand tapping. And for me, one of the easiest ways to get started in two-hand tapping is by playing chords. And a lot of bass players have fiddled around with learning some chords, and so I'm going to assume that you have learned some chords. And we're going to start with a G minor chord. And I usually play the chords up in the second octave of the bass because I think they just sound better. So if I take this chord, to turn it into a two-hand tapping technique, I'll take my right hand and play the two highest notes of the chords. This allows me to bring the root note of the chord down an octave, 12 frets. Okay? So now we've spread it out and made it sound like a bass and maybe a guitar. So I can do the same thing with my C or any chord I learn. I just bring the bass note down an octave. So I'm going to take just these two chords. And I have, if I move that up a whole step, and I can move it anywhere. So just practice moving that around and try that with all your chords. Now, sticking with that for a minute, I'm going to show you another way to expand on that. Okay? If I just apply a different rhythm to that, you can. And you can just mix that up many ways as you want to do it and come up with your own techniques. And again, just practice moving it around and you'll find out how easy it is. I'm going to play a song for you now using this technique, and I'm going to show you some of the things that I've done with it, and you'll be able to do the same. It's really easy. Here we go. Have fun. I started playing when I was about 3 years old. I'm the youngest of 5 brothers, and they started me, actually my oldest brother, Reggie, started me playing at about that age, about 3 years old, with a little Mickey Mouse guitar that you wind up and it would play a melody. He just taught me how to strum it. Then when I got a little older, he actually took 2 of the strings off of his guitar and started teaching me bass lines. And then he just kind of let me go from there. But it was actually my brothers that actually taught me how to play. Well, my main influences, first have to say my brothers, because that's where I learned most of what I do now is from them. But as far as well-known people, it would have to be Stanley Clarke and Jaco Pastorius. They were definitely two main influences. But there were a bunch of people also like Larry Graham and Bootsy Collins, and a bunch of people who I didn't even know their names at the time, like James Jamerson and Anthony Jackson, a bunch of those people who played on a lot of the older material that I was listening to, but I didn't know their names. But those were my main influences on the bass guitar. When people ask me how long do I practice, it's kind of a hard question to answer because it's still an ongoing practicing process. I'm not where I want to be yet, so I'm still practicing. So when people ask me how long it's taken me to get this far, I usually say my whole life, you know, because that's how long it's taken me. But it's been a lot of practice hours in there. And, you know, I don't think I practice as much as I should. And, the more you practice, the better you get, and I try to practice every chance I get. Hello, I'd like to take this time to introduce the band to you, starting with my oldest brother, Reggie Wooten. Actually started me playing bass, taught me how to play when I was about 3 years old. Reggie will be playing guitar today. I'm sure you're going to like it. And my other brother, Joseph Allen, he's older than I am also. He'll be playing keyboards, Joe Wooten. The groove regulator on the drums, Mr. James Blair. Don't you go nowhere. James Blair. So I think we're going to be playing a tune for you, so just stick around. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, from that song you just heard, that's more of a funky style of song. And let's go back a little bit and talk about the thumb technique that we did earlier in the video. I showed you how to go down and up with the thumb. Now what we want to do is expand on it a little bit and learn how to use it in a grooving situation. Now, in the song that we just played, it was more of this style. Now, if I didn't go up and down with the thumb, it would be a lot of bouncing, and my hand would have to move twice as fast, like. I would tire out really fast. I would get real tired. So going down and up with the thumb helps. Now, also, what you'll realize is that you can go down, up, and on the way up, pluck. So you get a down, up, pluck. Okay, so experiment with that also. That's another way to expand on it. Now let's talk about throwing it into a groove. You just want to think of any kind of pattern that you play. And whether you're using a down and up pattern, it doesn't matter. Whatever technique that you use, any patterns that you play, here's a good way to practice it and learn how to groove with it. Okay? Play it with the metronome. Let's say if you have something. Now if I wanted to play the pattern over this. Okay, then what you want to do is you want to cut the metronome beats in half. Now I have less to listen to, and you want to play the same groove. Then cut it in half again. So now I have less to listen to, and play. And then if you can, cut it in half again, because then you'll have less and less to listen to. If you can play with a metronome, going that slow, you should have no trouble playing with the drummer. But right now I'd like to talk about the equipment that I'm using. And I'll start with this bass. This is a 4-string Monarch style bass made by Federa, a company from Brooklyn, New York. And it just so happens that I still prefer to use the 4-string. This is a pretty much stock bass with EMG pickups, but I've added a Kahler tremolo bar. And I'm using the ADA MB1 preamp along with the ADA power amp with SWR 410 Goliath speaker cabinet. And moving back up, I also have a Rain mixer, a 6-channel line mixer. And up top here, just for a little bit of added effects, I'm using a signal processor effects unit made by Zoom. And over here, I was using a drum machine, the Roland R70 that I use. But I also like to add that it doesn't matter what equipment you use, the music's going to come from you. I like to look at it like take someone like Michael Jordan who plays basketball. Take away his shoes, he can still play basketball. So it doesn't matter what kind of equipment that you use, the music's going to come from you. So as long as you remember that, you're on the right track. Okay, what I'd like to talk about now is another style of tapping again. And basically this is a more mellow style. And it's really easy again. And I always like to think of techniques as being easy, because then you have a head start at learning them. So basically this one will be mellow, and I'm going to do this one in the key of E. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play a 1, 5, 9 out of my left hand, which is going to be the E on the 12th fret. And you have a B, and then you have an F sharp. Okay, so you get... Make sure you let each note ring so that you get a nice, beautiful chord. And then a half step up from this F sharp, I'm going to play the G sharp with my right finger. Okay, so once you learn that, take the whole pattern down to the next set of strings. Start on the A string. Okay, and once you get that easy, just play them back and forth, and it makes a nice, easy, but beautiful sounding song. Like, then you want to expand on that. Experiment with putting melodies on top. I may take another finger, and on a string I'm not using, when I'm on the 3 low strings, I'll play a melody on the top high string. Okay, so it may sound like this. And you'll see that when you're playing a melody on the high string, and then you play the chord on the high string, you have to lift the melody up. The more you practice, the more this will all make sense, and you'll see how easy it is. Again. You can move the whole progression up, and then you have a bridge section. See how easy it is? The way I play, I think, comes from having a pretty wild imagination. A lot of it comes from not only listening to bass players. I listen to a lot of instruments. Like I said, I'm the youngest of 5 brothers. My other 4 brothers all play different instruments: saxophone, keyboards, drums, and guitar. So growing up in a house with them, I got to see some of the greatest musicians in the world, which I think they are, play their instruments. So I would try to take what they did on their instrument and learn how to do it on mine. If my brother Roy was playing some drum fills, I would try to learn them on the bass. You know, if Rudy was playing a sax line, I would try to, you know, duplicate that on the bass. So a lot of what I do comes from listening to other instruments. When I met Bela Fleck, who's a great banjo player, one of the first things I did was got him to play my bass the way he plays the banjo. And that gave me a bunch of ideas. And as you see, when I play with my thumb, a lot of it is very similar to a 3-finger banjo technique. So I definitely have a pretty vivid imagination, I guess. And I think that leads to some different styles. And I think it helps my playing. Thanks a lot. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.